Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on Label TV, your Pan-African channel, for your 7:30 newscast. Let's take a quick peek at your headlines.
The political situation in the DRC is raising concern on the African continent. To discuss it, Paul Kagame is gathering 16 heads of state. Also tonight, from January 20th to January 21st, the world will witness the last total eclipse before 2022.
Starting in politics, in the beginning of tonight's edition with the International Criminal Court judges this past Wednesday, January the 16th, rejecting the prosecution request to keep in custody the former president of Ivory Coast, Laurent Gbagbo, following the acquittal on his charges of crime against humanity. The report.
Prosecutors at the International Criminal Court, ICC, have said they plan to appeal the acquittal of ex-Ivorian President Laurent Gbagbo, according to information reported by AFP. Laurent Gbagbo and Charles Blé Goudé, who were charged with crimes against humanity, were freed by judges at the ICC on Tuesday. The judges ordered their immediate release. But the release was suspended during a hearing that began on Wednesday at The Hague, where prosecutors will be able to raise their objections. In a petition, prosecutors say there are exceptional reasons to oppose Gbagbo's unconditional release, citing a concrete risk in the event of continuation of trial. But they added that they will accept release in an ICC member country, other than Côte d'Ivoire, if the risk of flight can be mitigated by imposing series of conditions. Gbagbo and Blé Goudé were charged with 4 counts of crimes against humanity, including murders, rapes, and persecution, as well as other inhuman acts, for which they have always pleaded not guilty. The ICC judges justified their ruling, saying the prosecution has not met the burden of proof according with the required criteria by international justice.
Still in politics, the African countries members of the African Union have seen the presidents and members of their governments in attendance of the high-importance meeting in the meeting convened by Paul Kagame, the President of the Union, today Thursday, January 17th, in the Ethiopian capital, Addis Ababa. The meeting is axed around the political situation in DRC as it concerns many on the local and international political opinion plan. More details.
The President of the Republic of Rwanda and Acting President of the African Union, Paul Kagame, is convening a high-level consultation meeting of 16 African heads of state and government on the situation in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The meeting will be preceded by internal consultations of Southern African Development Community, SADC. The DRC is in the midst of a post-election crisis. Martin Fayulu, one of the main opponents who lost the presidential election of December 30, 2018, contests the provisional result that gave Felix Tshisekedi, leader of the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS, winner with 38.57%. The Constitutional Court examines the request of the loser, requesting the cancellation or recounting of the ballot. These results are disputed by another candidate, Theodore Ngoyi, for whom the election must be cancelled altogether.
And now to West Africa stopping, where Nigeria's President Mahamadou Issoufou and Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte have congratulated themselves for the success of their alliance in the fight against trafficking of human lives and terrorism, to quote Mr. Conte on illegal immigration, as the incoming flow of migrants through Niger's and in Italy's disembarkation rate have drastically dropped in the past 2 years of their collaborations, talking about more than 80% reduction. Let's take a look.
President of Niger, Mahamadou Issoufou, and Italian Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte on Tuesday held the success of the joint fight against illegal immigration with the drastic drop in the flow of migrants to Europe since 2016. Italian Prime Minister said that the joint collaboration with Niger has been successful. The number of migrants passing through Niger has dropped dramatically. Italy has managed to reduce illegal landing by 80% or more by 2018. Conte applauded its Nigerian counterpart for the good result obtained over the past 2 years against human trafficking and terrorism. The anti-migration plan supported by the European Union (EU) has yielded excellent results. The flow of migrants passing through Niger has decreased from 150,000 to 100,000 migrants per year since 2016, and to between 5 and 10,000 migrants a year today, said the president at a joint press conference. The two leaders affirmed their determination to stem the flow of migrants, particularly in Niger, through which about 90% of West African migrants transit to Libya and Europe, according to European statistics. Giuseppe Conte urged Europeans to increase their funding in Africa by also investing in development projects against poverty, which is one of the root causes of migration. Issoufou called on Europe to accelerate the availability of promised resources to his country in order to pursue his anti-illegal migration plan. Italy, which opened an embassy in 2018 in Niamey, has also decided to send soldiers to Niger. President Mamadou Issoufou asked Italy to reinforce its security cooperation in the area of training and the provision of equipment for its army confronted for years by jihadist incursions.
Culture right next with the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of Ouagadougou, commonly known as FESPACO, is taking place this year for the 2019 edition from February 23rd to March 2nd, as it was announced through a press conference at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris. The details.
On Tuesday, January 15, 2019, at the UNESCO headquarters in Paris, a press conference with the Delegate General of the FESPACO, the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of Ouagadougou, Juma Soma, is organized to announce the 50th anniversary of the FESPACO, the Pan-African Film and Television Festival of Ouagadougou, occurring between February 23rd and March 2nd, 2019. According to Juma Soma, 20 movies are competing for the gold standard of Yenanga. Indeed, in the feature-length fiction film category, there are 20 movies coming from 16 countries. Burkina Faso, the host country, has 3 productions, which are Desrances by Apolline Traoré, Douga of the Scavengers by Abdoulaye Dao, and Eric Lingani. The last one is Akelita or Fugitive Pieces. There are many other categories competing, such as fictional short films, feature-length documentary, documentary short, animated film, and television series. The FESPACO is also a business platform for the development of the industry of cinema and broadcasting. In fact, according to the Burkina Faso Minister of Culture, Abdul Karim, the cinema can and should promote democracy, freedom, equality, social justice, and brotherhood in a world where violent extremism spreads.
On environment now, America, Europe, and West Africa are about to witness an exceptional natural occurrence as a total eclipse where the Earth will be positioned between the Moon and the Sun and will be happening in the night of the January 20th to January 21st. It will be the last one of this kind before May 16th, 2022. Ashley Yang gives us the specifics.
In the night of January 20th to January 21st, America, Europe, and West Africa will witness a total eclipse, the last one before 2022. For the Europeans and the Africans, the total eclipse will occur at the end of the night before sunrise. The eastern part of Europe and Africa's eclipse will not be total due to sunrise. For Southern and Northern Americans, the total eclipse will occur in the beginning and the middle of the night. During the total eclipse, the moon will be red due to the fact that solar rays will not reach it directly. The next total eclipse will occur on May 16, 2022. However, there will be partial eclipses before that time. Total lunar eclipse can occur 3 times every year. An eclipse occurs when the Earth is located between the Sun and the Moon. A partial eclipse occurs when the Moon and the Sun are not perfectly aligned.
Following the ultimatum issued by the Norwegian parliament to its government to limit and phase out palm oil and its biofuel policy from January 2020, the Malaysian Oil Palm Council tries to defuse this escalation and starts showing interest in establishing a national land use plan in Gabon. The details.
The Innovation Parliament recently decided to phase out palm oil in its biofuel policy starting from January 2020. This is in response to the decision to exclude palm oil in biofuels as it poses a risk of deforestation and in order to better comply with the sustainable development criteria despite practices adopted along the palm oil value chain. In this perspective, the Malaysian Oil Palm Council says this decision will threaten the livelihoods of about 650,000 smallholders but will fit in the criteria of sustainable development despite all the practices adopted. The country tends to take inspiration from the Gabonese model to counter anti-palm oil activists, and this have a significant influence on EU governments. Moreover, Gabon grows oil palm on a commercial scale, and its national land use plan maintains a balance between oil palm, agriculture and forest preservation, and with more than 76% of the land covered with forest, the National Agency of National Parks has overseen the mapping of land and wildlife of the country to determine areas of developing agriculture. However, the National Geographic Channel describes Gabon as an example in oil palm cultivation and wished to establish a national land use in Gabon and has granted several oil palm concessions to Olam Gabon, which is a subsidiary of Singapore-based agribusiness firm.
And now sports. After winning for the second time in a row the Best African Footballer Award on January 17, 2019 in Dakar, the magnificent Egyptian footballer Mohamed Salah is yet receiving another award, as according to the football database, he is classed as the best winger worldwide. Let's take a look.
Mohamed Salah is definitely one of the greatest footballers of the planet at the moment. In fact, after being nominated the Best African Player twice in a row, the second time on Tuesday, January 7, 2019, in Dakar, he is now known as the best winger worldwide, according to football database. Indeed, the footballer scored many goals and is making a positive impact in his club. The footballer becomes the best winger with 100 points. The second one is Angel Di Maria with 74 points. The third one is Raheem Sterling with 73 points. The fourth one is Leroy Sané with 71 points. The number 5 is Young-min Son with 68 points. The number 6 is Gareth Bale with 66 points. The number 7 is Kylian Mbappe with 66 points. The number 8 is Sadio Mane with 65 points. The number 9 is Neymar Jr. with 65 points, and at number 10 is Eden Hazard with 65 points.
And now, before the end of this edition, let's take one last recap of your headlines.
The political situation in the DRC is raising concern on the African continent. To discuss it, Paul Kagame is covering 16 heads of state. Also tonight, from January 20th to January 21st, the world will witness the last total eclipse before 2022.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the full stop for tonight's edition. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned on your Pan-African channel for even more news with at 8:30, your next newscast edition in French this time with Nathalie Okeela. Have a good evening.